Hi everyone. Thank you so much everyone on the call. I see so many people. I see Francis, I see Madam Stella, Ezinne, Amarachi, Diebu, Kafumi, Irene. Is a full house. Thank you so much for joining us. In the next, say 40, 50 minutes, we are going to be having an exciting conversation around what we are doing with our money. Where are we sending our money? There is one amazing thing we did before now. I got this list of questions ahead of time or some concerns that we want to be addressed. That was really helpful and it guided the thought process or the conversation we are having today. So you're going to be starting or assuming, let me not say zero knowledge, but I want us to start from the basis to look at, okay, we want to invest in Naira. Guess what? We assume that a lot of people are already investing in Naira. For some of us, we are just getting started. We are not very familiar with that space. I got you, right? So we're going to look at some investment opportunities in the capital market. Nigeria is not good. Nigeria is not good. But Shebi, you know that we have one of the best capital markets, at least this year, that has done the most globally. People are making good money from this market. Are you part of that people? Is your money there as well? And then again, we tend to like, oh, because we are Nigerians, or most of us are Nigerians, we forget that there are economies outside the country, that beyond the Nigerian capital market, we also have the what is a global village. We have access to other economies, to other capital markets to tap into. Let's do a little quick check in the house. Have you in where do you have your money currently? Let's see, what have you invested in before now? Like I say, for some of us, we are just starting on the journey or we are waiting for this conversation to get started. Either way, let us know in the comments. It would also help to direct our conversation. Have you done like stock before or you've done treasury bill or something? I don't know if we are able to chat. Oh, Adanik has done mutual fund. Oh, Ford himself focuses on the Nigerian stock. Ford, you must be a very happy investor right now because the Nigerian stock market has been doing quite interesting. Hey, who's someone say FinTribe investment? Wait, so do we have any FinTribe person in this room? That's going to be interesting. So we want to look at portfolio diversification. How do we, the money we have, how do we move it between, oh, here in Naira and then foreign currencies? Mostly for us in Nigeria is dollar, right? Now, first of all, let's even understand why. In case if somebody is still asking, is there a need? Why do I really need to do that? If my money is not okay where it is, no problem, it's fine. But remember that first of all, inflation is a thing. I think it was Marcella that mentioned it earlier. Inflation is a thing. For some people, their money is still in the bank. That on itself is a problem, right? And then again, there is the currency risk. Thankfully, Naira is relatively stable at the moment, but like I always say, unless we sort out or we address some of the fundamental issues, structural issues we have, I don't know how long that will last. And then political and economic risk. Governments come, governments go, different policies that might affect the way we transact, not just even abroad, right? Sometimes, let's say a US government can come and do something. That way, you see that I think earlier this year, dollar to an extent was really shaky. Imagine people that have all their money in dollar. So it's always highly recommended that you throw your money, you like not like you have something here, you have something there. Sometimes even personal risk can come up. Let's say you something came up or something comes up, your job or even your business is not doing as much as you should, and you want to fall back on your investment, you need to fall back on something. If all your funds is locked away, let's say in a 2 years bond, in a 1 year bond, and you don't have immediate access to it right now, that's a problem. And that is going to take us another conversation. You know, a lot of time when we say diversification, some people assume, oh, that means just Naira and dollar. Of course, that is currency diversification. But then again, there are other ways you can diversify. There are different dimensions of diversification. Number one is asset class. Some people mentioned already invest in stock. Amazing, well done. But is that all you have? Remember, there are different asset classes you can consider. There is fixed income, there is cash. Even cash is something or near cash equivalent, right? Real estate. Many Nigerians, real estate is the only investment we know. But there are things beyond real estate that would make you good money. So that is on one side of diversification. Again, is geography. Maybe you probably do in the Nigerian market, like I mentioned earlier, the Nigerian capital market is doing so well. But why not look beyond, look outside? Where else can we push our funds into? The ways we need to be thinking of this diversification, because it's beyond just naira, dollar. There are other avenues, and we've mentioned currency, right? You can diversify by currency, you can diversify by geography as well. And then by sectors, For some of, I had a client I was discussing with the other day. Of course, she has a whole lot of a wide variety of stuff she's investing in. But then when the thing came up, I'm seeing Access Bank, GCO Bank, Zenith Bank, FCMB, like what's happened? I know that the banking sector is a good one, right? It's like the bedrock of the Nigerian capital market, stock market. But there are things outside of that. That is not just the only thing. Imagine if something that comes up in the banking sector, that means your portfolio will be in red. Your portfolio will be like, it will take a big hit, because that is where all your focus is. Those companies, these stocks are amazing, right? But go beyond the sector. Think outside the sector. What are the industries that are holding Nigerians strong? What are the industries that we cannot do without, right? Explore them. We have construction. Be like, okay, when it comes to, let's say, construction, which industry, which companies are there? Oh, I'm thinking Dangote Cement, I'm thinking Lafarge, Julius Berger, all of that, right? Agriculture, which companies are doing well here? Those are the ways I need us to start thinking that. So even at your own time, look through your portfolio, what you currently have. Am I diversified, or is everything in one sector? This is mostly when it comes to stock markets. Yeah. Now, we can also look at it from currency, which is the one most of us are familiar with. Oh, I have money in naira, I have money in dollar. That is fine. Then at time, let's talk about this time briefly. There is something we call dollar cost averaging. So for many people, we invest, maybe when there is bulk money, we drop it there and move on. But but the power of compounding, which we hear all the time, it works with time, consistency. How able are we periodically to keep doing something over time? I hope we've been able to see reasons why we should consider exploring beyond what we currently do. Are you well diversified in terms of location? Oh, you have Nigerian stock. Can I start looking into US stock? Or, oh, I have a lot of my stock invested in one particular sector. Can I start looking into the other one? Or I do investment once in a while. Let's say you're waiting for when bulk money comes in, or all your investment is in one maturity, because that can be another concern. You have everything maturing at the same period of time. What if you need funds before then? Those are some considerations we can look at. Now, let's come down to the Nigerian capital market. I don't want to assume that everybody is already exploring the extent of that market. There is so much money to be made in the capital market. So what are these opportunities? I listed them, like I did a summary on the next slide of some of the things we can do here in the Nigerian market before we now get into the capital market and the US market or foreign market. But again, I didn't want to assume that everybody is already doing that. No. If you are, amazing, well done. But if you are yet to start, please, what do you need? Just a brokerage account. And when I say Nigerian capital market, I just basically means the investment sector, right? Where we buy stocks, shares, and stuff like that, where we buy and sell. And what you need to play in that market is just have a brokerage account. Back in the days, people maybe come to our office, oh, you're a stockbroker, I want to do this. We create accounts for them. It's so stressful. They call you on phone when they want to buy, you execute for them. When they want to sell, they call you. It's a long, hectic process. But guess what? Thank God for technology. These days, you can do this by yourself. All you need is your brokerage account. Most fintech platforms can give you that, right? We have the likes of, let's say, AfriInvestor, Meristem, Bamboo, all those fintech platforms, many of them can support you to invest in the Nigerian market. And to open the account, whether you are in Nigeria or in diaspora, the thing is that regardless of where you are, so far you're in Nigeria, and you need you have some of the things listed on the screen here, you are good to go. First step, download any of the platforms. If you have any, you could share with us. If you want us to recommend, happy to do that. Download any of the platforms that give access to this market. Provide what we have listed on the board, on the screen, the BVN, your valid ID, proof of address, and all. Create your account, seamless. And then they're going to create your CSCS for you. It's like your unique investment number. They are the ones to create it. You are not the one. Within 24, 48 hours, your CSCS is ready and you are ready to start investing. What else do you need? Your money, your cash. With as little as 5,000 naira, you can do that, right? You don't need so much. Of course, if you have 50 million, good, fine. If not, what can you start with? On the next slide now, we are now going to look at what are the options available for you in the Nigerian capital markets. Starting with the easiest one, which I've already mentioned, many of the fintech platforms out there supports you. Like you can put your money there for a return. Some of them in the form of high interest savings, right? You save with this platform, they pay you interest in return as against what your bank will give you. I always love to look at it in terms of alternatives, right? What are the alternative options? Thank you, Madam Stella. She just gave us a robust list of options there. Amazing. And all of them are great. What are the options in this platform? And for most of them, they are similar. You move your fund, they can tell you can lock it maybe for like 1 year, for like 6 months, and they tell you the interest you are going to make from it. It's very straightforward, right? That is one option. Now, how much do you need? With as little as 1,000 naira, you can do this thing. As for others, they have this flexible wallet where you put your money. Instead of leaving it idle in the bank, you put your money there. Over time, it will be accruing interest for you. For some of them, every month, they drop the interest. You can withdraw, you can roll it over. It's up to you if you wish. We already have some of these apps, just that we don't remember to use them. I don't know why. I'm hoping that this conversation today is going to remind you, go and clean the cobweb, bring out the app where you left it. Look at it again. What are the options available? Now, it's important we also talk about the risk level of all of this investment. So for fintech platforms, I'll rate them low to medium, right? Because most times the offers you are getting on the apps, they are fixed. They can tell you, oh, on your savings for 1 year, you are getting like 10%, 15%. So regardless of whatever happens, you are getting that interest paid. The way I look at it is that the risk is tied to the particular platform. How credible is that platform? Are they regulated, or are they partnered with a regulated platform, another regulated organization? So the risk level lies on that particular platform you are using. And let's look at some of the ones that Stella drop. Oh, Cowrywise, yeah. I know Cowrywise have a partnership with Mary Stem to do stocks and some of their instruments. Yeah, we have Invest Nigeria by Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill is one of the top investment banks. We have Mary Stem, their own app, Mary Trade. We have Optimus now, they call it Bluetooth Neo. They also have Afro Investors 2.0. These are top investment houses here in Nigeria. Any of them is amazing. You don't have to use all of them. One or two is fine. So duration for fintech savings most time is usually short term. Most of them have like 1 year or maybe sometimes 2 years duration. So you put your money within those period of time, and sometimes you can roll it over as long as you want. We've already mentioned some of the platforms you can use for this, and that's on the fintech part. Now, let's get into the actual investing. Let's talk about mutual fund. That is one opportunity you can leverage in the Nigerian capital market. Mutual fund is like a pool of funds, right? Managed by asset managers. They are professionals managing your investment for you. Let me give you an example. I used to manage a mutual fund, a money market to be precise. Hey, that period, every morning, every night, I'm thinking, what do I have to do to increase the rates on this fund? You now check, how much is Stanbic Mutual Fund paying? 15%. My own is how many percent? How much is UCA paying? Minister Money Market, how much is he paying? Like you're trying to compare because you want to not outbeat them, but as human beings now, you want your own to be doing well as well, right? So you're always thinking, oh, where do I push this fund? Which commercial paper is currently paying higher? That is somebody's headache. on top of your money. You push that responsibility to them. That's what mutual fund does for you. And then me as the asset manager, of course, now when we make money, we're going to keep a percentage. Some houses keep like 1% of it, but you have 99% to enjoy, right? So that is how mutual fund work. But then there are different types of mutual fund depending on where the asset is going. This is one many people don't take note of. They just say, oh, mutual fund, I invest in this mutual fund. Which mutual fund in particular? Most people only know money market mutual fund. That's like the most popular. But then again, if you are new to mutual fund generally, when I say money market, it means that that money, when you gather it, the asset manager takes the money, go and invest it in instruments like treasury bill, like fixed deposits, like commercial paper. With these instruments now, the interest is fixed. So hence, the risk level on that investment is low because I already know that it will pay me 15%. But the only thing now is sometimes it can drop. The interest, like last year, money market mutual fund can pay you as high as, so many of them pay 20 something percent. But this year, some of them 15%, some of them 17, even some 14%. So the thing has been dropping, right? Okay. And then there are other types of mutual fund. It doesn't start and end with money markets. We have equity fund. That one will make you good money. Equity fund will make you good money because it is investing in stocks. And if you have an idea of how stock work, for those that already invest in stock can have anger issues. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. You'll be like, is it on this empty and I bought 900 last week? Now it's down to 800, right? This can move up and down. The market can be volatile. But like I always tell people, so far you are investing in solid companies, you don't have to worry because over time it will still go back up. Okay, I mentioned MTN. Let's use it for example. Let me do, please, I'm with you. Just one last try. I'm with you, please. One last try to see if my screen is cooperating now. Okay. Okay, let's continue, please. Thank you. So I wanted to pay stocks, but with equity fund, I expect that sometimes the returns can go up and down. Last year, we had some equity fund do more than 50%, 70%. That means if you started the year with 100K, towards the end of the year, you have 200,000, you have 170,000. Voila, your bank can never do that for you. I don't know any bank that will pay you that much in savings. In fact, they will take the one you have, right? So, but something like I said before, the degree of the growth might differ. Case in study, last month in June, the Nigerian market started to drop. It has been doing so well since this year, but last month it started dropping. And of course, equity mutual fund was dropping as well. What you will see happen, like Stanbic equity fund that was at 50 something percent, it didn't drop to like 40 something. I think some even dropped to like 30 something. That means maybe you were making like 100K. If it starts to drop, your 100K is dropping to like 90, 80. If the thing now continues, it can hit into your capital. That is the risk with equity mutual fund. Of course, we have others. We have Halal mutual fund for Sharia compliant investors. We even have dollar mutual funds, which we'll talk about later. The duration for mutual funds can be short term to long term. It's up to you. It depends on how you want to do it. Do you want to take your money to next week? Do you want to take it next year? Or you don't even have plans for it, you're just growing it there. It's up to you. So some of the platforms you can do mutual fund on, we have Cowrywise, we have Bluetooth Neo, formerly Optimus, we have Stanbic. In fact, most investment houses in Nigeria have their own mutual fund. So if you're already using one, you can reach out to them or check the app if they have mutual fund. Not all platforms have though. Another way you can leverage and make money from the capital markets in terms of Naira, of course, because for Nigerian investments, is we deal in Naira. I remember what we are doing. We want to look at the Naira options and then how do we play on the global stage. Fixed income, we are looking at things like treasury bill. With treasury bill, you are lending money to the government, mostly, usually short term, is 1 year or less, right? Commercial paper, the same concept, but you are lending the money to corporates, organizations, so not just any organizations. So both of them work in similar ways, maybe 6 months, maybe 9 months. And the way it works is that you can invest today, decide to take your interest up front, go do what you need to do with it. Then on maturity, you come back and take your capital. Or you can invest and be like, no, let me just leave everything. On maturity, my 5 million is now 6 million, 5.8, as the case may be. With bond, we have, okay, there is a savings bond that is as little as 5,000 you can invest. Those ones are now long term. Savings bond is either 2 years or 3 years. Then we have bond on its own that can be, if you have bond of 20 years and all. Let me say that the purpose of this conversation is not to really maybe deep dive on all these individual investments. We will not have ample time for that. But what we are trying to do is to create awareness, to remind you that these opportunities are there. It's not less for you to like, oh, I think I want to explore this one. We have time to ask questions. You can ask me about it. But most importantly, after this conversation, I'm hoping you go further to like read up on the ones you are not familiar with and but you want to explore, right? So the risk level with fixed income is low. If it's things like treasury bill, bond, these are low risk investment because you're dealing with the government, and we believe that the government is the best person to lend to. They will definitely pay you back. But if you're looking at commercial paper, it depends on the company issuing that commercial paper, right? So for most of the money market instrument, treasury bill, commercial paper, they are short term, but bonds are long term. What platform can you do these things? Many of the fintech platforms also offer them. Example, AfriInvestor, example, Sycamore. These are some platforms you can, Bamboo as well has treasury bill. And then finally, investing in stock. I think this is the one many people are familiar with. Oh, I invested in MTN, in Zenith, in GTCO. You can put your money in all of these companies. And you know that when you invest in a company, you become a shareholder, you now have a stake in that company. If they are making money, good, you will enjoy. If they are making loss, you will still collect because you are now a stakeholder. So that is the thing with investing in stock. There are two major ways you make money when you do. Number one is a dividend payment. Over time, they will be paying you dividend. You just do it on your own. I think yesterday Transcorp Power paid, and today there is one I saw. I don't even know. I was on my own. I just saw credit alert. I didn't even know they paid dividend, but you see the alert. It comes straight to your phone, right? The volume depends on your capital you have invested in the stock. That's one. But where the main money is capital appreciation. Capital appreciation. You can buy a stock 100 naira today. We expect the company to keep doing well. And as the more they grow, the more the share prices will be growing. That is where we make good money. And this year, the market has been, in fact, even last year, we don't give Nigerian stock market enough credits. Trust me. Nigeria is bad, but you see that our capital market, I say at least in the recent years, it's been doing quite well. The people that know, and they're cashing out from it. The risk with stock, like I have mentioned before, is markets can fluctuate. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. It can't keep going up all the time. And it's not moving like that just for nothing. There are things that drive the markets, right? Sometimes the forces of demand and supply, things can happen. And investors will be like, what's going on? Let me go and sell my stock. And if everybody have that same sentiment and they start selling, of course, the market will react to it. The price can drop. But then, like I said before, so 5 year investing in a solid company, you are good to go. Let me paint a picture. Which company should we use, for example? Okay, I've mentioned MTN before, so let's stick to it. When MTN did their primary offer, that's like, is it 3 years ago or thereabout? They did that at 169, right? And then the thing started going up, got to like 180, got to like 200, 250, and up, up, up. Next thing, it started to drop. It dropped back to 200, dropped to 170. Yeah, it's got as low as 170. Imagine somebody that bought when it was 200, and then you came back, you are now seeing 170 something. Maybe your 100K is now 80,000. Hey, not everybody could withstand that. Some people were now panicking, what's going on? This, some people were selling and all. Me, if I see the market drop like that, I'm just gonna look for spare money and buy, right? And over time, of course, it bounced back. It started going up again. Please, who is sharing screen? Please, can you go to Chrome? Let's see. Just type MTN current market price. Because over time, it's going to bounce back. It's going to go back up. And we expect it to keep going up because the fundamentals have not changed. Maybe some things happen. In the case of MTN, that was the period that dollar, Naira was dropping badly. Dollar got as almost 2,000 Naira. Was that last year or last 2 years? And MTN, that they are heavy on forex. It's a foreign company. So it still really, really affected them. I'm not saying you should go and buy MTN, no. I'm using them for example to let you know how these things work. So the market can move either ways, right? If I'm still able to share my screen before we conclude, I'm going to bring up some of my portfolio so we can take a look at it. The ones that are doing well, the ones that are not doing well. Okay, moving on. I think we left you behind though, admin. Oh, okay. Let me see. Closing price 850. Can you see 850 Naira? See something. Can you see the place that say 52-week range? That's the third item. 395 to 915. Let me explain what that means. 52 weeks is 1 year. It means in the last 1 year, there was a time MTN was as low as 395 Naira. But then again, it kept going up 400, 500. In fact, earlier this year, it got to as high as 900. That's the 915 you are seeing today. But then it has dropped again. But what of those that ran and sold years? That 2 years ago, I said the price came down to 200, 170, 180. Share you see, as at today is 850. And nobody say it will still get back to this 915 we are seeing there. But that is the market for you. Things can fluctuate. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the slide. So now we've looked at the opportunities in the Nigerian market. Let's quickly jump on the foreign market. Outside of Nigeria, what can we do outside? I'm focusing the conversation on these opportunities, right? Okay, this is a sample. So these are some of the samples I pulled up from my phone. You see the first one. This is a formula, dividend for Meta. Meta has predicted, Meta is Facebook. The second one is New York Times in New York, US. This one says NVIDIA. That's like the biggest company in the world and AI. And then we have PayPal. These are all foreign companies. I'm in Lagos. I stay in Nigeria. And all of these US companies are paying me. It's in dollars, hard currency. Why? Because I invested in their companies. I bought their shares and I'm still buying their shares. And all of it is in dollar. So why I'm investing here in Nigeria, enjoying the opportunities here, I still expose my portfolio to foreign currency. So this is an example to introduce us to that. Let's move to the next slide, please. So I want us to look at some of the opportunities. I just listed the very simple ones, the very straightforward ones, the easy ones. Okay, here I wanted to show us something. I put last year report for some of our top companies. All the companies here. Starting with Google. Last year, Google returned like 65%. That means your $100 there ended the year with $165. How much is $65 in Naira? That's interesting money. If you now have like $1,000, $10,000 invested, 65% in dollars is crazy money. Trust me. So we have NVIDIA that did 40%. We have Tesla. We are all familiar with some of these companies. You can be an investor in that company. How? when you invest in stock. So let's look at the easy ways or the straightforward ways you can expose your portfolio. Next slide, please. To global investment. A slide we skip before that, before the last one, before this one, please. Okay, yeah. So here are some of the simple vehicles we can use to explore global opportunities, starting with investing in US stocks and ETFs, right? So now we've explained the opportunities in the Nigerian stock market. The same way is the same way you can also do it in US stock market. Thank God for technology, I will keep saying. You can be here in Nigeria, you can buy into US stock. Stock is the same thing across board. The way stock will move up and down in Nigeria is the way it can also move up and down in the US market. But yeah, you can still play in those markets. And from the previous slide, we saw what the result was last year. Does it mean it will be like that this year? We don't know. Nobody knows. When we enter 2026, we didn't know that Israel is going to bomb somebody or somebody is going to bomb them back. And conflicts like that can affect the global market, right? So when you invest in US stock, it's an avenue for you to explore outside your native currency, explore different markets. Now, imagine you are now only, oh, they say dollar, dollar, dollar. You are now only investing in US market. And what happened earlier this year happened. That means everything about all your funds will be in red because the market was in red because of the conflict, but it is gradually recovering. So I think that's the easiest way, playing through the stock markets when you want to like go abroad or when you want to explore abroad markets. Another one is one we call ETFs. They work hand in hand. The way you invest in stock is the way you invest in ETFs, right? So let me say for ETF is like this. It's like a pool. Inside that pool, we can have different investments. Somebody can say, oh, Jennifer, I don't want to invest in US market. I want to invest in other, let's say in Chinese markets. I want to invest in South African markets. You may not, there might be no easy, maybe a platform, because most platforms that we have access to here, they are US markets. But the fact they don't have Chinese stock doesn't mean I can't invest. No, I can do that through ETFs. So what ETF does is ETF can track a particular market, a particular sector. For example, we have ETF that say, oh, I track tech companies. The likes of VGT is an ETF that track information technology companies. You can also have ETF that track instruments like gold. We have GLD. It's an ETF that tracks gold, companies mining in that industry. It can also be location specific. There are ETFs that track emerging markets. They can say, okay, all the emerging economies, I want to invest in it. That could, that could also be ones that do maybe economies like China, economies like through ETF, you can expose yourself to non-US markets, right? Because you probably, for many of, I don't have access to Chinese market, Japanese market. We don't have platforms powering them yet. But through the US markets, we can go through ETFs because ETFs is like a collection. They take our money and it is focused on all of those things. That is why I included it here. So no matter the economy you want to track, the sector you want to track, you can enter it through ETFs and it will make you good money. You may not make as much when you invest in individual stocks because it's like a collection. It takes an average. But with ETFs, so ETFs have done 100%, although an average maybe 20%, maybe 12%. 12% in dollar is big money. Share, it's big money. Alternative, number 2 is Euro bond. With Euro bond is an investment in foreign currency outside of our Naira, but then the minimum is $200,000. I know you people have it too. Me, I don't have $200,000 to invest in Euro bond, right? So what I can do is to buy mutual fund that invest in Euro bond. But before we move on, I'm trying to I know we are time constrained. Don't worry, the slide is almost over, so we can take some questions. Before we move on, how can you invest in US stock markets? The same way you invest through apps for Nigerian stock is the same way you can do this. And we have platforms like, oh, there's so many of them these days. There is Bamboo, there is the Optimus by AfriInvest. Oh, Plutus is now Plutus New. So this platform, once you sign up on them, you can search for any US stock you want and invest. How do you fund? If you have dollar, some platforms can take dollar direct. You can deposit your dollar like on Plutus New. When you want to fund, they can give you a dollar account if you want to deposit dollar. Alternatively, you can deposit your naira. Yes, you don't have to go and start sourcing for naira, for dollar. You can deposit your naira and then convert it on the app. It works that way as well. So any of these platforms, get them, explore, check for the stocks you want. You can buy it while here in Nigeria. And if they have meetings, I'll be here. Apple will send me email. They have shareholders meeting or something. I beg, I'm in Lagos. So yeah, they send you these things. If it's the one they need you to vote because you are a shareholder. You have a stake there. When it's time to pay dividend, they will pay you. You saw the screenshots of the ones I received already, right? So that is it on if you want to explore those ones. Then we're talking about Eurobond. For Eurobond, mostly you execute it through investment houses. Some of the investment houses Madam Stella listed, if you reach out to any of them, oh, I want to do Eurobond, fine, the minimum is 200,000. I have some clients, that is the only thing they do. They're like, oh, I don't have strength for you post stock, buy Eurobond for me. So for some of us that do not have up to that amount, invest in Eurobond. Alternative can be dollar mutual fund. We explained mutual fund before now. There are ones that is being exposed to dollar denominated assets, usually this euro bond. So any platform you buy mutual fund on, check if they have dollar mutual fund. When you are buying that dollar mutual fund, you are most likely exposing it to euro bond and it's in dollars. So whatever happens, whatever returns, everything is in dollars, right? And then finally, I say, let me mention this one because if you talk to Nigerians about investment and you not mention real estate, people will fight. Yes, of course, the emerging trend we've seen our people doing these days is to invest in property abroad. I believe we are in the same community here, right? As alumni. What are we doing together? You can call up one or two people, whether they're in your class or not. Do you know people can open up a syndicate, invest in real estate abroad? That's what I'm planning with my people in my community, right? Some of these things, they have facility managers. Of course, it's a long process. You have to have legals on board and all, but there are people willing to explore. Somebody can say, oh, I don't have 500,000 to buy a property in the UK or any of the Dubai, but maybe we have 50K. Somebody else has this amount. People can team up. When we come together, how are we thinking about this investment? That can be a conversation to start. So what Nigerians recently, not even recently, okay, before now it used to be our politicians, like top people buying real estate abroad. But these days, everyday Nigerians like you and I are exploring that opportunity. And if you can't do it alone, talk to your friends, talk to your colleagues, right? Talk to your church members, the people you are good with. Start having that conversation. And that is another way you can expose yourself to the market outside there. Now, at the end of the day, what are we trying to do? We are not saying, oh, I will now, because you know the way we used to say, people don't, we don't rate naira here, and I don't know why Nigerians don't rate naira, but there is no market that will pay you. Most markets will not pay you as much as Nigerian markets will pay you. For example, now, if you want to invest in treasury bill or commercial paper, you can get as high as 20%, 18%. I don't know if you have anybody abroad here that does, let's say, fixed deposits. Highest, you see like 4%, you see like 3%. Convert it. There's this piece of content I put out recently doing this comparison, right? Let me tell you how it came about. I had a client, she called, she had like this 15 million she wants to use in January. But you know how we are, oh, inflation. Of course, inflation is real. But sometimes before we jump, oh, they said the Naira is this one. Just do some calculations. You'll be amazed. She needs that money in January, 15 million. And she's like, she wants to turn it to pounds, not even dollar. She wants to turn it to pounds, so that January she can take it back and all that. Number one, this money is in naira. Let's even assume pounds is not very, it's easier to access dollar here in Nigeria. So let's even assume it's dollar she wants to get. 15 million, she gets dollar now. Let's do the calculation together. If I do 15 million, let's say divided by 1/4, Abi, that's like 10,007. She takes this money, of course, it will not be idle. Say no to idle funds. She takes this money. Let's say she locks it somewhere for 6 months. We did the calculation live. I think for 6 months, we got either 6%. In fact, most platforms, the highest they can give here in Nigeria is like 7% for many platforms. So let's say she gets 0.6%. That's like $642, right? And guess what? For you to even move that dollar, you pay bank charges. Banks don't play with their dollar charges, so they will smile. They may smile with you when it comes to moving naira, but when it comes to dollar, they are taking their money. And there is no way. Sometimes you can pay as high as $50, even $100, depending on the volume. So they move it from that her money. Let's say to and fro, she spend like $100 in bank charges and all. That leaves her with an interest of like $542. That's what she's left with. If we convert it back to naira, that would be like 760,000 naira. In January, when she needs her money back, she has made 760,000 on it. Okay, now let's look at it the other way. And then we also did another one. She invests this money for like 20% for 6 months. No, I think we got like 18% when we did that calculation. Let's say she did it in a treasury bill of 6 months that is going to pay her 18%. So if you do the calculation now, 18% of, sorry, this might be, I don't know if I'm losing some people, but I'm getting somewhere. 18% for 6 months is going to give her around 1.3 million by that January. In dollars, she has 700 and something thousand. In naira, she has about 1.3 million. Maybe you see in this instance, that dollar was not really the best option for her. But I think she had a conversation with somebody in her office that day, like, oh, naira this, naira that, for money she needs in January, barely 6 months away. So I said that to let you know that you need both. Naira may not be what it is, but you need both. Number one, it will make you good money. And if you are in Nigeria, you have to operate in your local economy. What I suggest is that, of course, while a bulk of your investment might be here, just also have some exposure to other markets. It can be through stocks. You don't have to do everything. At this point, I may not afford real estate. I may not afford Eurobond, but I can buy US stock. With $5, you can buy. With $10, you can buy. And is that straightforward? So when we are thinking of it this way, just tell yourself that maybe a portion of it, how big you want to go is now up to you. I'm not able to tell you, oh, put 50% of your money in US, 50% in Naira. No, it's up to you. Somebody that maybe once has relocation plan might decide to go aggressively to start building up in that currency. Another person will be like, not really. I think my money will grow faster for me here in Naira, even when I take inflation into consideration, right? So it's just for you to sit down and check what you currently have, the investment you currently have, how are they diversified? How are you really is it properly diversified, not only in currency? Remember what we discussed in when we were talking about stock, for example. Do you have banking? Do you have maybe insurance? So just make sure that it is telling you something. And dear, my fellow investors, is where I'm going to be posting on this conversation about diversification. What I hope to have achieved from this conversation is, number one, you have an idea of some of the opportunities here in our capital market. And then secondly, you now have also seen some ways you can explore other economy outside Nigeria, like the US, which the easiest way, I think, is to go through the stock market. And thank you so much, everyone. I think we have a last slide on our next step. What do I want us to do? Number one, please, like I said earlier, we may not have had ample time to dive deep into some of these things, but please research further. If we are connected on, say, social media, I have so many resources on YouTube, on Instagram, Financial Jennifer, on this topic. diving deep into each of them, please research for that. Secondly, if you don't have any investment platform you use, please get one, download one, check what Madam Stella shared in the comment section. Many of them are amazing, right? You can pick them up. Just one is enough for you. Sign up. And some of the things we've discussed today, start exploring. If you're like Ford that saying he's focused on Nigerian stock, I hope I've been able to convince you that that is amazing. But even Nigerian stock, do you have some of your portfolio maybe in fixed income so that all your money is not in stock alone? Remember what we said, asset class is not in stock alone. You can just do some in stock and then maybe some bulk money, small is like something like money market, or I will be turning it over in treasury bill, right? So secondly, download any of these platforms if you don't have. If you already have, go and revisit it, right? And then again, just explore. Can you buy a stock with just $50? That's all. If you have just to even tell yourself that, oh, I'm not investing in this market, $50 is enough for you to do that. And then most importantly, just keep learning more and celebrate yourself, no matter how small, whatever. Just you bought something of $10, celebrate it. Thank you so much, everyone. I can see Neka in the comments. She said, yes, so a FinTribe in the house for Sakot location. Hi, Neka. You should hold Neka. She's a financial woman. If you have questions, ask her. She too like money. Thank you so much, everyone. And for your understanding, I was not able to share my screen, some of the things we wanted to do, but we made it work. Thank you so much, Ford, for the suggestion of sharing my slide. I hope you've picked one or two. If you have any questions, please let me know. Happy to answer that. If not, I will let you to continue your evening. Thank you.
There is a hand up.
Yes, there's a hand up, and please go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening to the speaker as well. Thank you so much for your session. I have a question concerning investing in Nigerian stocks, right? How do you differentiate stocks that pay dividend from stocks that do not?
Okay, so there's usually no place I will say, oh, go and check there. Most times you may just have to ask Google. Or so sometimes if you're on the platform already, you search for the stock. When you open it, sometimes you will see something like dividend yield. If that stock pays dividend, it can tell you like, oh, 1%, oh, 2%. If it doesn't, we see zero. But the easiest way, I just think of, oh, Dangote Cement, they pay dividend. I can just ask Google, does Dangote Cement pay dividend? It will give you information. Currently, there is really no straightforward way or one-way house for information like that. But if you go to their, if you're on the investment platform, you can be able to tell by the dividend yield. Easiest way, ask Google. Okay, I can see another question in the comment. Financial woman in NECA is asking, I have 1 million naira and would like to diversify to dollar. Which platform is best? Hi, Mama. I think first, let's know that 1 million is very important to you. There's something I was being very careful throughout the conversation to not to say, oh, if you have this money, if this amount, put it here. What I might tell you, if you have a conversation now, what I can tell you to invest might be different from what I would tell another person that has 1 million that is also looking to invest. So, first of all, how long do you need that money? Because the goal and duration would matter. Is this money you have plans for? Or it's just spare money you want to throw away, not throw away, you want to live for long, let it grow. I don't have immediate need for that money. That can matter. So if it is money you don't really have immediate need for, and you just want to have it in dollar, you can try stock. If your risk appetite is open to that, if you don't mind, from everything I have said about stock and you feel you are fine with it, you can put it in stock. One is that stock is best for long-term investing, and it is the one most likely to make you the most money in terms of returns, right? So you can do for some blue chip companies. Let's say I want to do like Meta, I want to do like Apple, all these ones we know that have paid their dues, that have proven themselves over the years, right? But let's, on the other hand, this money, like my client that says she needs it in January, less than 1 year, auntie, please don't do stock. Go and lock it on any of the fintech platforms. So most of the platforms, you can save either in dollar or naira, right? They give you the option to save in each currency. So what you can do is to deposit it there, your 1 million, deposit it there, swap it to dollar, and then lock it for the period you want. I think for most platforms, an average of 7%, you can get an average of 7%. It depends. Let's say you need the money in 6 months time, you can lock it for 6 months. Or it can be money you don't need, but your risk appetite can't accommodate stock. You can lock it for 1 year. After 1 year, it matures. You keep rolling it over and over. So that is how to look at that question on the best place to put the money. If you now want to do, there are different platforms. Plutus Neo by AfriInvest, Bamboo, Sycamore. Those are some of the platforms you can do both Naira and dollar on. We have Mr. Chukwudi. What is your advice to a group of friends pulling funds to invest in Nigerian stock? Let me tell you a story I had recently. I think, was it in Abuja? Somebody shared an experience. They said they were, how many of them? Every month, they were doing 100,000 Naira to buy stock. They have one of them that is trading it for them. Everything is transparent. And then after a while, 2 people wanted to pull out. They did the valuation. It's each person was now worth like 4 point something million at that point. And the ones remaining were able to buy off from those people exiting. So they bought from them and moved. And then 3 years later, which was, I think, last year, I barely this year, I can't even remember what the lady said. 3 years later, guess what? They're no longer doing their 100K. They did it back then. And since then, they've just been playing in the stock market. They did valuation and each person was now worth 40 million. Yes, from 100K monthly they were doing. You know, the stock market has been very has been doing so well, right? And people could do that. That was the time I was trying to push my colleagues. We are in this industry. Can we do this? My advice is that people should understand yourself. Transparency is everything. And you know, when it comes to money matter, people can become funny. So let me give you a personal experience. It was not stock, but I think like 2 years ago, there was this property that came up. I'm big on joint wealth. I'm big on community wealth with women. Many people already have money. So about 2 years ago, there was this property that came up. It was really nice. Like it was a good deal. I didn't have enough money to do it alone. So what I did was to call up some of my women. How far? Look at this. Like 10 of us, we came together, we put the funds, we did the investment. So what we did is we got a lawyer to do an agreement. From the onset, we were very clear on the purpose of the investment. We said after 5 years, we spelled it out. After 5 years, we are going to come back, see the value of this property, decide if we want to sell. This is the number of votes we need to proceed with that decision, because 5 years might come. Some people will be like, let's leave it to grow more. And somebody will be like, no, I want to pull out. So we were very clear what we do. If after 5 years we want to dispose it, we can sell and share, or we can vote to keep it for another 5 years. It was well spelled out. We had a lawyer draw a co-ownership agreement. And when we were buying the property, all 10 of us, our names were on the deed, right? So it depends on the arrangement you have. That is how we did it. That way we know that nobody will come tomorrow. Like this stock owns, 2 people say they are pulling out. Was it part of the agreement from inception? So I think it's very important to spell these things out. And you know, stock can be tricky. Now the market is doing so well. Next year, election year, we don't know how it's going to perform and stuff like that. Just be clear. And if possible, have a third party, preferably a legal person. And then who is going to manage the portfolio? Are you going to leave it to maybe an asset manager to manage it? Or is one of you going to manage it? These are things to discuss. And then Chidera is asking, do we have NGS alternative for ETFs? Of course, Nigerian has ETFs. If you go to where you buy your stock, if you go to search, the way you will search for Zenith Bank, MTN, search ETF. We have the Vertiva, we have Stanbic. Nigerian has ETFs. The only thing that in the past, it has not been very liquid, but since last year, it has been picking up. Raf is asking, is it better to invest in the stocks of new and upcoming companies that have potential for growth at a lower price-based stock, or in already established companies at a higher price-based stock? It's up to you, Raf. What's your, you already know that new companies is riskier. You don't know if they are going to do well or not. So the risk level is higher on them. Of course, the upside is also higher. Let's say they list at 10 naira. They have the potential to get to 100 naira as against one that listed that is already at 100 naira. But if your risk level can't take it, please stick to established companies, because there is no limit to how far a company can grow to. Amazon got as high as I think 3,000 something. They did a stock split. A stock split is a situation where, let's say, a stock grows so high, the company can decide, oh, it's not becoming very expensive. They can break it down. In that case, let's say if you have one unit that is $3,000, they can now say it's not going for 500 naira per stock. So that means for 3,000, we get 6 units at $500 each. So if it grows that much, I remember when I joined investment banking, Seplat was getting to, is it 1,000 or something? I can't remember. I was like, this one is already expensive. Is it not the same Seplat that got to 12,000 earlier this year? So there is really no limit like that to last they will do stock split. So that's a personal question. If you look at the company, let's say Dangote Refinery is coming. Somebody is a new stock, Abi. Somebody might be like, no, let me wait for them to become established, and all. Another person can be like, oh no, it's Dangote now. He will prove himself. At least he has other companies they can go in. So the company itself also matters. Do you believe in their vision? If Shebi, both or some of the AI companies want to list, some of us will invest because we believe in the power of AI, and it can go either ways. It can go both ways. You never can tell, but it's your personal decision. If your risk level can take it, good for you. But if you are a beginner or you are not very familiar in that space, please stick to established companies. Should someone invest in the Dangote Refinery IPO or wait till later when everything normalizes? I'm going to give you a similar response to the initial one, but maybe to help you decide, let me paint a picture. With IPOs, nobody can predict. It can go either ways. Two examples. When Aradel listed at, I think 500 and something, a couple of years back, and then after within few days, it was already at 800, I'll be 700 and something. That's initial gra. Before you know it, 2 weeks later, it's down to like, is it 200 plus or 300 plus? Like the thing dropped massively. But today, check the price of Arada is like 1,000 something. So now, some IPOs can come, go up, boom, 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 and then it drops again. But if you're a long-term investor, you don't have to worry. On the other hand, some can do like MTN. When MTN did their primary offer in 2021, it came out at 169. And from that day, it's been ahead. It never got to, I think the least I saw it was when we dropped to like 170 or thereabout. It has been up story. So there is no, sorry, I can't predict what it will turn out to be. But personally, because I believe that this refinery is like, the potential is massive, and me, I take calculated risk. Of course, I will do the IPO. If it drops, no problem. But I am a long-term investor, so I don't really mind. Even if it drops, I believe it will go back up over time. And look at the other companies, at least in the long run, they've done well for investors. How should someone split their money between Dangote Refinery and other oil and gas players? Okay, let me leave you with something that I'm doing personally. I don't think I've said this in outside before. When Dangote lists, he's not going to play in isolation. So much money is coming into the industry, into the company, into the country. Oil and gas sector is going, I feel like it will have a good run. And it won't only be Dangote Refinery. The other players in the market will also enjoy. It's like let's say, the banking sector is doing well. It won't be only one bank. Others it will rub off on others. So what I'm doing currently is the oil and gas companies I like. Right now, I am going hard on them, even before the refinery list. because I know that when the refinery leaves, the success will rub off on these ones. So my favorite oil and gas companies, I am currently stacking up on them. And it's not only oil and gas, so there are other sectors that would also benefit from this. But let's keep it at that. Or let me give you a second one, banking sector. Banking sector is also going to make a lot of money from this listing. Billions, millions of dollars are coming into this country because of that refinery. Where is that money going to? They're going to pass through the bank. Do you know how much revenue the banks will make from processing all of that transaction? That is good money. So I'm also topping up on all my favorite banking stock as well. Thank you so much, everyone. I think it's been an interesting time. That was the last question on the comment section. Okay, and if you did not take anything from this conversation again, I do hope you now have ideas on some of the opportunities you can use to grow your money both here in Nigeria and abroad. Thank you and do have a great evening.
Yeah, thank you very, very much, Financial Jennifer, for that very insightful responses to the questions. So just to give a broad summary of what's spoken about today, we started by speaking about investments generally. Then we spoke about different kinds of investment to explore, the fintech investments, also the mutual funds, and then Financial Jennifer told us that although the most common type is the mutual funds, there are other types of mutual funds as well. The stock, it could also be sorry, the most common type of mutual fund is a money market fund. However, the other types like the stock market fund, also the halal investment fund for those Sharia compliant investors. Then we also look at fixed income investments, treasury bills, bonds, and the rest. And then we also spoke about stocks, both on the Nigerian and the foreign exchange. Then we now dived into the top 10. We dived into the US stocks. We looked at the best performing stocks in 2025. I don't know if you remember the top 10 stocks. At the top of the list, if you had $100 at the beginning in January, you will have closed the year with $165. If you had $100 million, that's $65 million extra in profits. You just retire at that point. Then, we looked at also different vehicles for, global investing. She spoke about ETFs. So an ETF is just basically, like she mentioned, an instrument that contains different kinds of stocks that fit a particular category. It could be tech stocks, it could be AI stocks, it could be military defense stocks, it could be anything. And the beautiful thing about ETFs is that they cut across different categories, to different countries, different regions. So, for example, if you want tech stocks, but not only in the US, you could have an ETF that tracks tech stocks in the US, China, Europe, even Asia. Asia's market is very, 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 very good. Financial Jennifer also mentioned that Nigeria's market has become very attractive. We just recently took over from we took over as the best performing market in the year. We took over from an Asian market, just to tell you how attractive some other markets are. Then also look at Euro bonds, and then we learned that if you want to buy Euro bonds, you have to bring at least $200,000. That's almost 300 million. Yeah, I don't have that money. They also have real estate as well. Then lastly, if you want to make any decision basically on how to split your money, don't just go into it and just say, okay, because it's US dollars, it's the better investment. No, you must always calculate. So if you have 15 million, do the math, go and check how many percent your US investment will give you, calculate it also using a particular exchange rate. Then do the same calculation with Naira instruments. Okay, if treasury bills or bond instruments will give you X percent, calculate it, comparing them side by side. And whichever investment will give you the most return, that's one should do. That's the path you should take. Don't just blindly say, oh, because it's US or pounds. Pounds investment, I have 6,000 pounds. It sounds good, yes, but you could also earn more if you just put it in a Naira instrument compared to a dollar instrument. So it's not a one size fits all. It's a compare the situation and then make an informed decision. So that's about what we learned so far. Much. So just to conclude our session, we're gonna have we're gonna have like a photo session, a virtual photo session. So we'd like to kindly request each and every one of us to just turn on our cameras for a second so we can have a virtual photo shoot.
Okay then.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Everyone. Yes. And
Yeah.
do have
Welcome.
Enjoy
yeah,
the rest of your evening.
yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay,
You
you
do have a
Bye.
too.
very lovely, lovely weekend ahead. Today is Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Bye.
Bye bye.